During the chaos of the World War II, one secret military program carried out experiments so disturbing that many details remained hidden for decades. Hidden in occupied China, a covert Japanese military research facility conducted biological and medical experiments on prisoners in the name of science and warfare. The facility was known as Unit 731. What happened inside its walls shocked historians when the truth finally emerged. Today, we examine the dark history of Unit 731, and why many of its secrets remained buried long after the war ended. In the early 1930s, the Imperial Japanese Army began exploring the possibility of biological warfare. Military leaders believed that diseases could potentially be used as weapons just as powerful as bombs or artillery. To research this idea, a secret program was created under the leadership of Shiro Ishii, a physician and military officer who strongly advocated for biological weapons development. The program eventually became known as Unit 731. Its main complex was built near the city of Harbin in Japanese-occupied Manchuria. From the outside, the facility appeared to be a normal research center. Guards surrounded the compound, and secrecy was extremely strict. Inside, however, the program conducted experiments intended to study infectious diseases such as plague, cholera, and anthrax. Prisoners were brought into the facility, many of them civilians captured during the Japanese occupation of China. According to historical investigations after the war, these prisoners were used in experiments designed to observe how diseases developed and spread. The program was hidden not only from the outside world but even from many within Japan's own military structure. For years, the activities of Unit 731 remained largely unknown beyond a small circle of officers and scientists involved in the research. But as the war intensified, the experiments expanded, and the secrecy surrounding the program grew even tighter. Only after the war ended did fragments of the truth begin to surface, revealing one of the darkest chapters of wartime experimentation in modern history. As the program expanded during the years of the Second Sino-Japanese War, the operations of Unit 731 grew far larger than most people inside the military even realized. The complex near Harbin in Manchuria expanded into a network of laboratories, prison cells, storage facilities, and testing grounds. From the outside, it looked like a heavily guarded scientific compound. But inside, researchers were studying the behavior of infectious diseases in ways that shocked the world once the war ended. Scientists working under Shiro Ishii focused on diseases that could potentially be used in biological warfare. These included plague, cholera, typhoid, and other infectious illnesses that had historically caused devastating outbreaks. Researchers attempted to understand how these diseases spread, how long they survived in different environments, and how they could potentially be delivered during wartime. Prisoners held inside the facility were used in experiments meant to gather this information. Many of those imprisoned there were civilians captured during the Japanese occupation of parts of China, while others included prisoners of war from different regions. Strict secrecy surrounded everything that happened within the compound. Guards ensured that almost no information about the activities inside could escape beyond its walls. Even among Japanese soldiers stationed in the region, few fully understood the true nature of the facility. Meanwhile, researchers continued collecting data and testing theories about biological warfare. Some reports suggested that the program also explored ways diseases might be spread beyond laboratory conditions, raising serious ethical and humanitarian concerns. The secrecy remained so strong that for many years after the end of the World War II, much of what occurred at Unit 731 remained hidden. But as historians, investigators, and former witnesses began speaking decades later, the scale of the program slowly came into view. And what they revealed forced the world to confront one of the most disturbing examples of wartime experimentation in modern history. As the World War II intensified across Asia, the work conducted by Unit 731 continued under extreme secrecy. Within the guarded complex near Harbin, researchers gathered large amounts of data related to infectious diseases and the effects they had on the human body. The goal of the program, according to many historical investigations, was to understand how biological agents might be used in warfare. The facility operated almost like a hidden city. It included laboratories, prison buildings, administrative offices, and areas where scientists conducted their research. Military guards maintained tight control over the entire compound, ensuring that information about the experiments rarely reached the outside world. Those imprisoned inside the facility were often referred to with coded language rather than by their real identities. This dehumanizing system allowed the program to continue with little accountability during the war years. Researchers studied how diseases progressed over time, how they affected different organs, and how quickly outbreaks could spread under certain conditions. Much of this work was directed by Shiro Ishii, who believed that biological weapons could provide a powerful advantage in future conflicts. Historical records suggest that several diseases were studied extensively within the program, including plague and cholera, which had caused devastating epidemics in the past. These studies were intended to help military planners understand how such diseases might be used strategically during wartime. However, as the war began turning against Japan in the final years of the conflict, the leaders of Unit 731 faced a growing fear that their work might be discovered by advancing enemy forces. By 1945, as Soviet troops moved into Manchuria, the secret program began taking drastic steps to destroy evidence of its activities. Buildings were dismantled, documents were burned, and many records were intentionally erased in an attempt to prevent investigators from learning what had happened inside the compound. Despite these efforts, fragments of the truth eventually surfaced. Witness testimonies, surviving documents, and later historical investigations gradually revealed the scope of the experiments carried out by Unit 731. The discoveries shocked historians and the international community alike, exposing one of the most disturbing chapters of wartime scientific research. Yet even after these revelations, many questions remained, particularly about how the individuals involved in the program were treated after the war ended. As World War II approached its final months in 1945, the leaders of Unit 731 realized that their secret operations were in danger of being exposed. The rapid advance of the Soviet Union into Manchuria forced Japanese military commanders to make urgent decisions about the fate of the facility near Harbin. Rather than allowing the site to fall intact into enemy hands, orders were given to dismantle and destroy large portions of the complex. Buildings were burned or demolished. Laboratory equipment was removed or destroyed. Documents and research records were systematically eliminated in an attempt to erase evidence of what had occurred there during the war. Many prisoners held at the facility were also removed before the site was abandoned. The goal was to leave behind as little trace as possible of the program's activities. When Japanese forces withdrew from the region, the once secret complex was left partially destroyed, with only fragments of its operations remaining. However, the effort to erase the past was not entirely successful. After the war ended, investigators from different countries began uncovering evidence about the biological warfare research program. Former personnel, captured documents, and testimony from witnesses slowly revealed what had taken place within Unit 731. One of the most significant investigations occurred during the Khabarovsk war crimes trials. During these proceedings, several former members of the program described the research that had been conducted and the role the military had played in supporting it. These revelations shocked many observers. They exposed the existence of a large and organized biological warfare effort that had remained largely hidden from the international community during the war years. Yet even as these details emerged, the full story of Unit 731 remained complicated and controversial. Questions persisted about how much information had been lost when the facility was destroyed, and about what happened to the scientists and officers who had been involved in the program once the war ended. Those unanswered questions would continue to shape debates about Unit 731 for decades. When the World War II finally ended, the fate of those connected to Unit 731 became one of the most controversial aspects of the program's legacy. As Allied forces began investigating wartime crimes across Asia and Europe, information about the activities of Unit 731 slowly surfaced. Evidence gathered from witnesses and captured documents revealed that the facility near Harbin had played a central role in Japan's biological warfare research. However, the response to these discoveries was complex. Some members of the program were questioned or detained during investigations. At the same time, historical records suggest that several scientists involved in the research provided their data and findings to authorities from the United States in exchange for protection from prosecution. During the early years of the Cold War, information about biological warfare was considered extremely valuable by multiple governments. Because of this, certain details about Unit 731 remained classified for many years. Meanwhile, in the Soviet Union, the Khabarovsk war crimes trials publicly examined aspects of the program. These trials presented testimonies from former members of Unit 731, offering some of the earliest detailed accounts of the research conducted during the war. Despite these proceedings, much of the full story remained unclear for decades. Only later, as historians gained access to additional archives and testimonies, did a clearer picture emerge of the scale and purpose of the program. Today, the history of Unit 731 stands as one of the most disturbing examples of how science can be misused during times of war. It also serves as a reminder of the importance of international laws and ethical standards governing medical research and warfare. The revelations surrounding Unit 731 continue to influence discussions about wartime accountability, scientific responsibility, and the lasting consequences of secrecy in government programs. Understanding this history is essential, not only to remember those who suffered during the conflict, but also to ensure that such abuses are never repeated in the future.